Welcome to Ear Biscuits. I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. Joining us today at the round table of dim lighting is our friend and OG YouTuber, the one and only Kassem G.
Kassem started his channel, which currently sits at 2.6 million subscribers and 400 million views way back in 2006. He's one of the co-founders of the now Disney-owned Maker Studios, and he's honed his signature sharp, sarcastic, comedic tone via his popular series California On. Now, you've probably seen it, where he creates hilarious moments from impromptu conversations on the streets of Venice Beach and elsewhere, including various conventions.
You're watching California On.
First of all, you want to do this shirts on or off. You always have the option. Tell me about your personal life. Are you single?
I'm from New York.
Taken? Nope, I don't care about New York.
I'm a nice guy.
You're a nice guy?
Yeah.
Do you have to be because you're not attractive enough to be a bad guy? I'm just a regular man.
I'm just a regular man.
Just a regular guy with no job. You're not related to Carmen Sandiego in any way.
Nobody's in San Diego that I know.
The girls aren't, there's not as many girls.
Mind if I do something real fast?
What?
Mind if I do something?
You want to kiss my head?
What year did we sign it?
What?
Can you say that again, but just even more stupid?
Well, I'm doing makeup application and glitter tattoos. Lasts for 7 days.
Do you get naked at any point during this?
Not at all.
Cool, see you.
In this biscuit, we talked with Kassem about his participation in the grueling desert race, the Baja 1000. His moving to the US as a little kid and trying to fit in, how he recently connected with his Middle Eastern roots, and his candid thoughts on his legendary YouTube series, including California On, Going Deep, and Ask Kassem.
We also talked about what he's been up to lately. Not a lot of stuff coming out on his YouTube channel until very recently, his latest project about Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a half-hour special on his YouTube channel. We've watched it since having the conversation. I highly recommend it. You should check it out on his channel. It's called California On Sasquatch, a Not Finding Bigfoot special.
So we think you guys will enjoy our conversation with Kassem. But first, we want to mention our sponsor, EF College Break. They make travel easy, affordable, and even more fun for anyone 18 to 28, college not required.
Yeah, this is really cool. You're young, you should travel and experience global experiences while skipping around foreign destinations.
Experience those experiences, everybody.
The fact is, it can be logistically difficult to line all this up. You can spend hours searching the internet for flights and hotels and coordinating transportation between cities with sites and getting tickets for sites in advance and dealing with closures and cancellations and delays.
Or you could let EF College Break do all that for you. They take care of booking flights, lodging, transportation when you're there, site and event coordination, and they provide you with a tour director who is a local expert. That comes in handy because you go to a place and you have no idea, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Well, they take care of that. They've built group trips across 6 continents. And that's not, I'm talking about the continents. I'm not talking about whether you're incontinent or not.
No.
It has nothing to do with continents.
There's no.
It says continents.
No discrimination on that front.
Yeah, you can poop in your pants all you want while traveling. It doesn't matter. They'll take you everywhere from trekking to Machu Picchu, cruising the Greek Isles, and immersing yourself in Germany's Oktoberfest. And almost half of all college break travelers sign up solo, so even if you sign up by yourself, you will not be alone on your trip. Make some friends!
Yeah, they call it social travel because you get to meet new people, make lifelong friends by experiencing the world together. Yeah. Bottom line,
you might fall in love. That's what happens usually.
Well,
I mean, when people travel together, it's not about that. But I can't just help.
It's a travel service.
I can't help but think that 17 days with somebody, you never know what'll happen. It's not about that. That's only from us. That's not from EF College Break. That's just from, and not even from us. Just from me.
What about the poop in your pants part? Is that from you or is that from
That's just
them?
from me.
Okay.
I take responsibility for both of those diversions.
Bottom line, it doesn't have to be intimidating to plan a trip outside of the country. The world is out there waiting to be explored, people. Go for it. Then Instagram some pics to us so we can experience it vicariously through you because we are no longer 18 to 28.
We are not. But we would do this if we could, and we're gonna hook you up with an extra $100 off your next adventure by going to our special URL, efcollegebreak.com/Rhett-and-Link.
I'm at the site right now and there's a highlights of Japan and China trip that covers 17 days. Pretty awesome. Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, Beijing, Shanghai.
This sounds like a great way to fill up that Where I've Been app that people used to have on their Facebook wall. Remember that? Where they would brag about how well traveled they are? Well, if you want to be one of those people, you should do this.
For $100 off, go to efcollegebreak.com/Rhett-and-Link.
Now, on to the biscuit.
I thought, for my money, there was nothing better than the micro-built series you guys did. I don't know if that's what you call it.
That
the
we've
mini
ever done.
commercials.
Yeah.
Those guys we don't want to talk about. But I thought those, for my money on the internet, were as good of just content entertainment as you could watch. And I was in France for some fancy thing, doing like one of those. You guys go to those upfront things where you have to talk about your stuff.
Yeah, we went to
We've
one.
been to one in France.
Okay,
Cannes.
the one maybe you were at or the year before, but they asked me to come up to the stage and talk about like just YouTube videos that I liked.
Oh, okay.
And I had some that
your
were just
own.
like sketchy and they were all my own. And then the last one was, and I specifically saved it for last because it always gets the most laughs, was the Red House furniture thing. And I was just like, I think these guys do the best job of creating something, and at the same time it gives back to a local business, and it's like not harmful pranky stuff. It's just it's just really good, and I was always bummed that there wasn't more.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'll go ahead and jump into this. I think that
Jump into it, Link.
you, it means a lot coming from you because we've always respected you as a comedian. There's lots of people on YouTube who might call themselves comedians, but they're people who just came up as YouTubers who
No, I hear what you're saying. I
they
struggled
call
with that
themselves
title.
comedian, but I'm just like, I don't find it funny. And honestly,
Right.
when it comes to what's the funniest thing we've ever done, I would easily put our local commercials at the top of the list and Red House up there because I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because it's separated from us, so I can appreciate it, whereas I'm very self-conscious of the stuff we try to do. And plus the stuff we do it's for a wider audience.
Right.
And for something to really resonate with a comedian that you respect, it has to be something that's very specific.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate that. I think there's kind of this chip on our shoulder that we what do the comedians that we respect think of what we do, because a lot of it is
That is I think, real
It's
big
broad.
issue for just YouTubers or people that make online content.
Yeah.
And there's that constant struggle of validation. Like, I want somebody who's not a YouTuber to like it, or somebody who's like, a guy who was in movies 10 years ago to like, just you feel like you need that outside validation when, you got there because of the YouTube community.
well, if you want to be a comedian, you want the respect of comedians, not just commenters.
Right. I've struggled with that for so many years. I mean, it's like, now I think I'm a little older than when we all started, so we're a little bit more mature about it. But there was always that, is this funny just because, like, it's just like, I think a 13-year-old might think it's funny, or is it funny because I think it's funny?
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily translate that what is actually funny is what rises to the top on YouTube. I mean, when we think about what we're doing, I mean, the thing that makes us the most amused is definitely the local commercials, but we don't do them anymore.
I know. It's like you have to explain to me why, because I don't really know why, but
Because
I just feel like
they had to work in spite of us. Like, people had to believe that they were real, and the more we associated them with us, the worse they would do, because people want to believe that Chuck Testa made his own commercial.
Right.
That the guys at Red House, Big Head and 10 Gauge, conceptualized that commercial. Well, they
The
kinda
commercial
halfway
always
did,
has to basically break before they find out that we're behind it. And
but to me, that's what I like. Like, I like you
And
guys
we
bringing
did
your
like that.
thing, and then you still use the people that are. I mean, the Red House one is like, it's not like you guys are in there saying all those things black and white. It's
Right.
just it's them doing
No, but
it.
I'm
and
just
it's
saying
not forced.
when
It's
people
nice.
find out that we're behind it. So like now if we take a
okay,
local
I see,
commercial
yeah.
and put it on like the Rhett Link channel,
Yeah.
then it's immediately the people who are there waiting for the next music video or whatever. We haven't done a lot on that channel in a while, but when that happens again, they're not expecting another local commercial. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And so I mean, it doesn't
You
mean
guys got to make more videos,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Gosh, you guys slack.
So that's that's the challenge. Is like, how much do you listen to?
Yeah,
but it's the same thing
those
for
people.
you. I mean,
yeah. I listen to just myself. It seems like
No,
for the
no,
last year when it comes to that stuff.
no, look at Ask Kassem, the show that we
Yeah.
once you went full body on green screen, we were
changed.
we were like this.
No, and
this
listen,
is it. This is my favorite thing on the internet.
I love that show,
Look,
and to
I
watch
loved
the
it too,
evolution
yeah.
of that show of like starting as a vlog that a lot of people were doing at the time.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, oh no, he's on a green screen too. No, he's in a cowboy shot on a green screen too.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? If you would just back up just a little bit.
I know. I think if you would have told me, because it's been, I don't know, 3 years since we made the last episode of that show. And for anyone that doesn't know it's a show, it was just like, you know how YouTubers have the I'm going to respond to comments show? Right. Everyone has their own version of that. And I decided to do my version of it. And it started, like you said, just in my bedroom. Right. And just putting
But it became making fun of that genre.
Yeah, totally.
And then it became, I know I'm cutting you off,
no, go ahead. Oh, I'd love to hear
in my
about
mind,
me.
it became, you were just like, F that genre. This is how I'm going to be funny. And I'm just going to I'm no longer even making fun of that. This is just crazy.
It's just weird, but it had its own flavor, which took some time to get. It took, until maybe episode
it was
20, 30. And it had a flavor. And it was, at the time, I didn't really I thought it was all right. But when we stopped doing it, and all the messages we got, it was like more messages than I got than like any other type of series or anything that I did. People were just like, hey, you took something away that I looked forward to all the time, and it was unique, and it was this. And my only thing is like now I totally get it. I have a lot of nostalgia, even though it was very recent for that show. Right. And like sometimes I'll go back and watch the last episode because it's kind of like
there's a very epic intro,
touching moment in the end where we're all just kind of like hugging it out, and it was good. It's like Breaking Bad. We did it for a little bit. It was a thing, and then it's gone. We took it away.
Yeah, you went out when you're on top.
But it's just funnier and better.
But based on the performance of it, you don't have as much incentive to go back to that as California On or Kassem Go Deeper.
I would love to do, and we talked about trying to work it into some sort of podcast. I've been toying around with a lot of things, but a podcast was something I wanted to do early before podcast took off, and the Ask Kassem thing kind of happened, and then it ended. And I was like, well, it'd be cool to take it and evolve it into something else. But it really hinged on my animator, who was a great animator. He did all the, animated moving heads and all the.
And that's John?
He's the guy. No, this is a guy named Dan Flesher, who's super great. He turned that stuff around. We shoot it on a Monday morning. And he would have a cut ready by like Tuesday night, and it would go out Wednesday morning.
It's crazy.
So it was like once he realized how much work it was, and he started getting other job offers, he just got another job getting paid somewhere else, which more than what we were paying him. And I was like, I can't afford to pay more. We can't afford to pay more. And I was kind of like waffling on the whole idea anyway, so it's like, all right, we'll just call it here. But I do still feel like I'm missing a whole piece of engagement, because I do like, even the comments, if they were like mean or funny or whatever they were, I enjoyed the engagement and being able to do that. I don't like to be this kind of like transient YouTuber who just goes away and comes back every once in a while. That was cool because it kept me there weekly. And that's why I thought of like a podcast or something, or some sort of evolved Ask Kassem is still interesting to me. But
I felt like that Ask Kassem was kind of the evidence that you kind of wanted to do things on YouTube on your own terms. Mm-hmm. We always thought you were funny, respected you, and called you a comedian, not a YouTuber. So based on the creative decisions you would make and the things you would do and the things you wouldn't do. Did you see that yourself? I mean, is that how you would approach things? Well, typically they would just...
Yeah,
I would just vlog, or I would do what other YouTubers are doing, but...
Right, I did,
that part
but
of your
I did
approach?
that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I did all the standard stuff early YouTube days, like during the YouTube live days, and I didn't go to 789, but it was around, that whole time. It's like either you were just a vlogger or you did something else, but, vlogging was an easy way in. And I did it, and I just felt it just felt kind of gross to me. I mean, I have the utmost respect for people that do it daily, but I didn't like having people peer into that side of my life. It's a personal thing. And Shay does it, and it's great, because I watch Shay's vlogs. I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos, but I watch Shay's vlogs because it's like watching your family that you know, and and even though I do know them, I feel like that's how the audience sees it.
So it was more of a privacy thing than
It was a
comedic
privacy-
standard thing.
Yeah, it was a privacy thing, and the comedic standard thing is definitely a part of it because it's hard to. You like to craft and take time with jokes, not just turn on a camera and just upload whatever there is. It seemed easier to me.
Well, yeah, because it's the complete opposite of stand-up, which is a thing that is honed over time and
Right.
Developed, and every beat is in place, and then you say, oh, I'm just going to sort of just throw up my thoughts here and edit it together into
but
something.
that's what makes, at the same time, that's why the most successful YouTubers do that stuff. But I just think I made an early decision to not include that stuff. And it had to do, like, at the time, I was going through a breakup, and it was like, all these things seemed to just not work for me at the time. But, and I'm kind of glad I tried it, and I can understand what it's like to have to turn on a camera and then, like, make something happen, or just, I get it. And it's not easy, and I don't want to diminish vlogging in any way. It's not my style of content, and it's hard for me to do. It's much harder for me. Like Shay, I could turn a camera on and Shay will be bouncing off the walls and something will happen. His kid will hit the ceiling, and I'll sit there and I'll just think of something weird. And I feel like more people would be kind of put off by me if they got inside my head more,
Well, you never know.
Yeah,
well,
you never know.
We want to come back to you and YouTube and just
me too.
Your entire story. But I know in the time that you haven't been making as many videos, you've been doing a lot of interesting things, including
I'm trying
driving in the Baja 1000.
Oh yeah, I did.
Because you came here when we shot the What Women Want music video,
Yeah.
you were driving this like Baja'd out truck.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California for the most part. I've been here since '93, so that the whole off-road motorsports world kind of sunk into me when I was like in high school. And like to me, my first two vehicles were trucks, and I still have my Toyota Tacoma, which I did some work to because I enjoyed off-roading. And it's not that slow rock crawly type stuff that you'll see, on the East Coast. Out here, we do fast, sort of through the desert, jump off dunes type off-roading.
Yeah,
which
you
to
can
me
get
is
some
fun.
air.
You get some air, yeah. That's the most fun, getting all four tires off the ground. But so what happened with the Baja 1000, the long story short is I was shooting
And this is like the most epic, just to give people the definition.
Yeah.
We went to the Baja 500.
Oh, you went?
One time.
Yeah.
We can tell you more about that. But so the 1000 is twice that. It's out of Ensenada, Mexico, and you're going down the
Baja Peninsula.
Baja Peninsula.
on both
1,000 miles.
sides.
1,000 miles.
This last one was 1275. So it was from Ensenada to La Paz.
And how long does that take for the winner?
I mean, the winners are doing it
like the 4-wheel class.
Yeah, the winners are doing it in like less than a day. I forget what the winning times were. I want to say like
in a
18
Tacoma
hours,
truck?
20 hours. No, these guys are running like the guys that finished first are running like there's the unlimited class, there's a trophy truck class.
They look like desert monster trucks.
They are. I mean,
but anybody can enter. Like you could enter in like a
there's the same
Volkswagen
entrance fee
Beetle.
for every category of racers or every group. It's the same entrance fee and it's the same prize money at the end, which is like I don't know $4,000 or $1,000. But nobody, you get these teams that are sponsored by multi-million-dollar companies and their trucks are. The race truck's worth almost $1 million, and then they have like 3 or 4 chase trucks that are all like a few hundred grand. I mean, there's and they have helicopters that follow them. I mean, there's so much money in it. My problem was that like there's no one really doing a good job of televising the sport.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watched a documentary when I was younger called Dust to Glory, and it's a documentary on the Baja 1000, and I thought it captured the whole spectacle perfectly. Like it's a holiday for the Mexicans down there. Kids are out of school. The trucks are lined up on the street for contingency. You can just go up and talk to the drivers, take pictures with it, get in the trucks. And I think that's so cool. And when I was finally down there to see it, it was mind-boggling. It literally is like Christmas down there for everyone. There's no school. There's nothing but like bros and in race shirts and black billed hats cruising around and black socks. And
it's kind of a free-for-all. Like the stories we would hear from drivers was you'll be going over a hill and then some Mexicans will have created a homemade booby trap, like
booby traps,
dragging like
booby traps are part of the race.
Dragging a mattress out, so when you land, you're landing on a mattress.
The spectators down there are both really fun and can be really scary, because if you're doing 100 miles an hour and you hit a jump and you can't see what's on the other side of it,
there may be a kid or a cow.
Somebody dies almost every year. I
yeah.
feel like. And they're so close. The spectators are so close. You could just, if they stuck their hand out, they'd lose
that's the
it.
thing we couldn't believe was we had access to the big river ditch thing there in Ensenada at the start.
Yeah, right.
Where everybody was
That's a
just
great picture spot
lined
right there.
up against there because this was like 08, I guess, with Cadillac.
Hummer.
Yeah, Hummer.
Oh yeah, I remember that truck.
And so we got to like be with Rod Hall's team, and I just remember so many people just lined up there, and these trucks coming through there and just spinning out. I was like, if they lost control, they would just roll right into this crowd of people.
Well, the race started 4 or 5 trucks in. It's coming down to go into the ditch down that embankment, and it just rolls over into a group of people. And right, so you would think like, oh my God, the horror, but they all scattered. And then after they realized nobody was killed, the entire place just cheered and erupted. And it was like, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. But dangerous, so dangerous.
Yeah,
it's up to you. Let's go back to the beginning of Kassem G, the human being, not the comedian.
The human being.
So, where are you from? Where are your parents from? Let's get nationality up in here.
Yeah, I was born in Jordan in '83 to a Jordanian father and an Egyptian mother. And I didn't ever live in Jordan. I was just born there and maybe stayed there for like 2-3 months. And then as a family, we all moved to Saudi Arabia. So I spent the first 4 years of my life living in a compound in Saudi Arabia.
But you don't remember any of that.
I do remember a little bit. I remember my 4th birthday party just because there was like a huge Mickey Mouse cake and like.
What do you mean a compound?
Compound is like in Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of people that go there for work, and they don't necessarily have to be Middle Eastern. They could be white people on business, but they build these sort of like concrete neighborhoods that are walled off.
Yeah.
And there's, one entrance, one exit sort of thing, and it's safer. And that's where we lived. And there were other Middle Eastern people. There were white people that lived there. My dad worked in the hotel biz. So, yeah, a lot of the business people worked there. And we lived there until 87 and moved to Florida because my dad got a promotion and was offered a visa.
So he worked for the hotel in Florida.
Yeah. So he got his ability to leave the country, because when you're in those countries, you can't leave unless an American company offers you a job in America, so you can get a working visa, or you marry somebody that's an American citizen. So there's really not a whole lot of options, which I realized last year when I went back to Jordan, that's a different story. But he got his visa, and we moved to Florida, and we did 6 years in Florida. Think of it like a prison sentence.
So till you were 10 years old.
Florida, that's where everybody,
my brother was born there.
All the weird stuff happens. All the great news stories come from.
Where the worst stuff happens in the world.
But what is it like being 8, 9, 10 years old in school, this Jordanian Egyptian kid?
It was very weird.
What part of Florida are we talking about?
This is Kissimmee, like Orlando.
Okay.
But Kissimmee, which is much worse. It's where we go to Playlist. You know where a Playlist is, and they put you up in those.
Right.
It's like right next to all the attractions. So it's a tourist town.
Yeah.
But it was right next to the Marriott World Trade Center where my dad worked, so he had a little short 5-minute drive there. What was your question?
Was it a pleasant place for you to be as an outsider?
No. I think it happened more when I moved to California, but as a kid, I was very self-conscious of being a foreigner in America. And, I might have had a little accent when I came here, and I didn't do things right, like raise my hand the correct way, or like, little things that you get corrected on. But all you want to do is just assimilate and fit in and not stand out as a kid from another country living in this country. And I have a thing that I'm writing, which hopefully will shed a whole bunch of light on this stuff, but it was kind of hard.
Like an email?
It's a show. It's a TV show, which it has like flashbacks of me as a kid. And there was, but it takes place when I moved to California and I was like 10, kind of like the Wonder Years, because that was my favorite show growing up. And I think part of the reason I just was so weird, because I did watch the Wonder Years and I thought that's how families were supposed to be acting, you know, like Wayne, the big brother, treating Kevin like sorry, I know you bleeped the show.
Right, I never watched the Wonder Years, but you were obsessed with it.
Very big.
You cried at like every episode.
Oh, there was a lot of
You'd come to school
crying.
the next day and you're like, did you watch the Wonder Years
Paul
last
and
night?
Kevin really connected last night.
Right. And I was treating my brother like crap because I had a younger brother, so I was like, I got to be like Wayne and hit my brother around and lock him out of his, out of everything. So there was one specific. Okay, so that's Florida. We lived there till '87. I go to Montessori school and part of public elementary school there.
Okay.
My brother's born. Dad gets another job. Now it's in California. So it's '93. Okay, we leave Florida, which just had Hurricane Andrew, and then we come to California, and then a few months later we have the earthquake, the '94 earthquake. So we thought we brought a lot of bad luck with us. But kind of '93 in Southern California is where like most of the story picks up, going to school, 5th and 6th grade. I started in 5th grade, so I did most of elementary school, middle school, and high school all out here.
Uh-huh.
And, just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying about how I felt, and I felt very alienated, is a story I tell that kind of sums it up pretty well. When I moved to California, started a new school. It's one of the first days of school, right? And I didn't have any friends, and I was just kind of like a wandering dude, just like that weird guy at parties that hangs in the kitchen, just waiting for people to talk to him. Sort of, I was that guy. And one afternoon after lunch, our teacher said, okay, we're going to do an activity in the quad. And in the quad, there was a painted mural of the United States, right, with all the states of all outlined and bordered and everything.
Okay.
And she said, okay, kids, you guys go stand on the state you were born in. It'll be real fun. It'll be real fun to see. And so, like, all the kids...
She didn't think through that one.
A couple kids walked over to, like, where New York might be or was, as most of the kids were huddled around Southern California. This is some weird kid from Washington. And then you would look over, and I was standing in a planer maybe 50 yards away just because that's where I thought I would be relative to the United States. And I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just like, I'm not from that mural. I don't... That's not where I came from.
I'm from the planner.
Right. And so I'm feeling it's like me and then the rest of the class, right? And they're all looking at me because the teacher's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm born in Jordan. It might be over here somewhere. And I look over and there's another kid who's kind of close to me. His name was Craig, normal white kid, blended in perfectly, God bless him. And he was kind of standing by me and I was like, where were you born? He was like, Saudi Arabia. My dad was on business.
Wow.
Yeah, so me and Craig kind of hit it off.
Well, so you were thinking the same thing.
I went from feeling like the most alienated person in the world, more alone than I have ever, and then looking over and seeing like, oh, there's a buddy who knows what it's like.
There's a white dude here.
Yeah. He knows how long a plane flight is.
Oh, that's great.
So it's moments like that kind of shaped me as a kid. And there's endless moments like that. But it was weird. It's more weird for me as an adult to look back at it because when you're a kid, you're just going through it. And you're like, even when I was 20 and 22, it's like, I was just a kid. Who cares, But as you get older, then especially when you hit like 30 and you start asking yourself, like, who am I? Why am I here? And you start to reflect on a lot of that stuff. And for a while, I was like angry with my parents for not like instilling culture in me. But they did, then you're like feeling great for your parents because I got a chance to go back to Jordan to see how hard it was for my family or my dad to leave. And
was that the purpose of the trip?
Well, my grandma got sick last year. And since I had never been back to Jordan since I was there for that first 3 months, and they had been asking me to come, and I just was like, no, I got my own thing going. I was always younger in school or something. But when my grandma got sick last year around April, it was like a very last minute thing. Me and my brother just got back from Hawaii visiting my folks. And then 3 days later, me, my dad, my mom, my brother all on a plane to Jordan to go see my sick grandma. And it was also like, meeting your cousin. I have one cousin that lives in the United States that I talk to. His name's Michal, and he's, he lived with us when we were younger, and he's like a brother to me and my brother. But other than that, I don't know any other family members really. So I got to go back and meet cousins and cousins and cousins and grandparents and people that all share your own blood that you've never seen before, and then you talk to them and you find out what their lives are like, and you're like, well, my ass is not as bad as what these guys are going through right now, or it's just very different, and I'm very lucky to be where I'm at. It was good, and I had a lot of respect for my mom, and especially my dad, for making that leap.
Now, you said that there was a time that you had some resentment towards your parents because they didn't instill enough of your heritage?
Right, so maybe when I was like 25 or something, just when you start to like, your car insurance rates get lower, and then you start thinking more inwardly about yourself, and realizing you probably have a ton of emotional problems that you've never dealt with. That's, I had for a while, and it wasn't a long time, but I got into a fight with my parents for not instilling more of the culture in me, but they did. They did, and they continue to, and they never turned their back on their culture. They just had to do certain things to, like, for example, like the day after 9/11, we bought an American flag, right? And I was like, why do we have to do this? It's like, I was upset about that later. Like, why'd you guys have to do that? I mean, I know you were just trying to blend in, but that's just what being in this country is about. You support the country that you live in, and you're proud of where you came from. And they did their best, but I didn't think that for a long time. That was just my ignorance. My parents worked really hard to get us here, me and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and did you deal? I mean, I know a lot of kids whose parents are from another place kind of deal with that embarrassment of their parents. Embarrass them.
They did drop us off like a mile away from school, or we would walk. There was no way. I didn't invite them to parent-teacher night or the PTA open house. Like, they would mysteriously never get those invites. I was embarrassed. I really was. It was not. It just made me stand out more than I needed to, because in my world at that time, as a 16, 15-year-old, I just needed to be playing the game, just socially, just be normal, be a regular dude. Don't be that weird foreign guy, whose mom cooks weird things, and like she'd cook weird things, and the smell would get on my sweatshirt, and I'd like wash my clothes a lot just to make sure I wasn't, so to have people check me, and like always smelling myself. And it does a lot of bringing weird foods to lunch, like who, it's like I showed people for the first time what pita bread was, I think,
right.
And it's so
before pita was.
Yeah, it was awkward at the time, and now
Forget Maker Studios. If you'd have gotten in on that one here,
I should have brought pita.
That was your ticket.
Yeah, it was hard, but I am so grateful for the fact that I had to go through it a little bit differently than a lot of people I know, because I think it made me who I am, and it made me, I was very defensive, and I didn't like being made fun of, so I had to develop some sort of like quick wit, because it was the only thing I had.
So that was
I was skinny,
that was the development of the comedy. Was the coping mechanism.
Right. I had to keep people's attention off of like my either glasses, my nose, my crooked teeth, or my acne with some other method.
And what was your biggest venue? A wisecrack here and there, or did you find a larger audience at a young age?
I think I was very much the class clown, but I think I remember specifically in 6th grade I was in drama in 6th grade, and the first show I improvised a thing where I hit somebody in a butt with a giant mallet, like a rubber mallet.
I'm laughing right now.
And
I improvised
it was like
someone in the butt.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was such a cool move, go off script, but I got a huge laugh. And I was thinking about it now, it's so dumb. But it was like crack, I guess. It was like, oh,
see how this works.
Yeah. All right, okay, all right. I'm buying mallets now. I'm buying big rubber mallets. But yeah, I didn't do. I think I wanted to do drama in high school and things like that, but I was too worried about my social order to risk being labeled as a drama person.
Yeah.
So I experienced that stuff in like community college. It was like the first time I ever, decided to do it seriously and take some classes, and then I took some formal classes actually just down the street from you guys. I just passed it and had all these terrible flashback memories of my old acting school on the way here.
Really? Which one was it?
I don't want
Boot Camp?
I don't want to drop them. I don't want to drop them because they weren't that great. But I did meet a lot of cool people in there, and there were some good teachers there. But I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
The unnamed place.
So you said that your mining your experiences as a kid for a show.
Yeah,
You're
but
just
I don't.
starting to write.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
it
want to talk about it because I'm not the type of guy that, because it may not ever happen. But I am trying to write a TV show that deals with my experiences as a kid, and specifically, like when I moved here and how that worked.
It's like you want to do this. It's on spec kind of a thing. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not something that's bought that we're going to see.
No.
This is something that you're conjuring up.
I'm hoping to get a pilot written and then go pitch it. And it'll be made. It depends on who wants to make it now. And I'm in this place where I want to do things that are like that mean something, and they're like stuff I could show my parents, and it would be good. Mm-hmm. As much as I loved doing Californiana and all those things, there's only so much of those you can do before you want to try and do something bigger. And then I'm also like 7 years older than when I first started, 8 years older doing YouTube videos. So your sensibilities change.
Right.
And what you think is good changes. So yeah, I'm going to try and do something that's not just so forgettable, I feel like.
Well, let's connect the dots and then come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of move through the YouTube story.
Mm-hmm.
So community college, you're doing a little. You're taking some classes, that kind of thing.
I was taking improv. I was doing.
When did you get into the stand-up thing?
Because you're living out in Ventura County?
I was living in Ventura County and driving. I was working at Best Buy full time and then taking acting classes after I would get off my shifts.
What were you an expert in at Best Buy? What was your section?
I'm a home theater guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's.
I love speakers. I love sound, and
5.1 it up.
Sure, man. 7.1 these and 7.2. Get 10.4.
You don't still work there, do you?
No. Sometimes I'll go back into Best Buy and just like cry, just like by the office chairs and remember the pain that I suffered there.
Well, at least you weren't at Circuit City.
Right, well, you're
then
right.
You have no place to go back to.
You're right, but either way, both those stores are screwed, or one of them.
yeah, right.
So yeah, I was working at Best Buy. I was taking formal acting classes in North Hollywood.
So it wasn't just strictly comedy. It was.
I did
acting.
stand up. I was doing stand. I should back up. I was doing stand up. And improv before I decided to do formal acting classes, like where I would pay money to these. So yeah, I was doing improv, and then my improv teacher at community college, a guy by the name of John Loprino, super nice guy, was an actor himself, and really saw whatever I thought I had, he saw it too, and he took extra special time with me and like talked to me and told me to do stand-up, and he was the first person I did stand-up in front of and was the reason why I went out and did open mics and things like that. And but all this stuff kind of happens around the same time, so forgive me if the details are a little hazy. But I was doing stand-up on the weekends, and then I decided I would also strengthen my acting muscle, which still needs a ton of strengthening, but I was going to learn it and try and work on it. So I was taking classes, and then by this time I went down to part-time at Best Buy because I knew that this was like the train was going to stop soon, and I needed to get out and figure out where I was going. At Best Buy, before I actually quit and before I went to part-time, I hired a gentleman by the name of Corey, Mr. Safety Williams.
And it said that on his resume?
Yeah, it said no, I don't know what it said. I actually didn't even see his resume. Some guy's like, yeah, some guys here needs a job. He looks like a nice dude. And I was like, all right. And I interviewed him, and he told me in the interview that he moved from Modesto because he had a viral cat video that was huge. I saw it. I said it had 100,000 views at the time. I forget what was a lot back then.
You had already seen it, or you went and saw it after?
No, I saw it after.
Okay.
I think he maybe even showed it to me then. I don't know. He had a newspaper clipping of him from the Modesto, which was funny. It was very Corey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
we got to know Corey.
Yeah, we all did.
So that makes sense.
And I wouldn't know you guys if it wasn't for Corey either. So
right.
God bless him. So Corey got hired, and he was telling me that there's this. And at this time, I was putting stand-up clips on YouTube. I had a YouTube account, but it wasn't under Kassem G. I would tape my sets and then put what I thought were funny jokes, which they weren't, but I'd put them on. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what this is the future. You just put these clips online, and then people will love them.
Get the big hits.
Right, and then nobody watched them, and I didn't understand anything about the community, but Corey's like, there's a whole group of people that like want content, but you got to like talk to them, and you got to like, you know, get in, and he showed me like there's like YouTube meetups, and there's these things, and he pretty much held my hand as in the very beginning.
Yeah, as one of the top comedic YouTubers, who also had a cat, who in the cat's own right was a top YouTuber.
The cat definitely. I don't know when it happened, but there must have been a time where the cat was bigger than all of us, probably.
So Corey was gung ho.
Corey was so nice.
He is gung ho in life.
He's gung ho in life,
but he applied all of that to YouTube. But
and he was a hell of a salesman too.
You got great salesman. He's like, you got to in Best Buy, but also for you to get on YouTube.
Why? So one specific thing, he was like, all right, I'm going to put you in a video. We'll shoot it on your lunch break, right? And I was like, okay, whatever. And I'll upload it later tonight. And I was like, whatever, okay. And we shot this thing kind of like in the truck receiving area in back, and I don't know what it was. It was pretty dumb. I was like holding a stereo that he broke. And he uploaded it, and then like the next day it had like, I don't know how many thousands of views. But I went and did stand-up that night at a local Chinese restaurant. And
there weren't 1,000
and there was no one there to see me. The only people there were like finishing their chow mein and their orange chicken, and they were probably going to leave soon, but it was not a room built for comedy in any way.
Really?
They had to move a piano like into the corner. And I was doing stand up, and it was fine or whatever, but there was 6 people there, and I went home and looked on this video, and there were like many thousands of views on this one video. And I was like, what am I not doing right here? You know, there's all these eyeballs here, people craving this stuff here, and I'm talking to a effing wall in this Chinese restaurant. So that was I remember that specifically as a moment where I decided I think I would try and crack some sort of, you know, try and make some format or make YouTube videos. And from then, it's kind of a blur, because when you get swept up in all the YouTube meet and greets, right?
Yeah.
And then you collab, which is, oh man, you got to collab when you first start. And the fact that you guys asked me to be in Fat Dip, and I was on the moon. Oh, I'm going to be in Fat Dip. I Justine's in it. And I don't know. I don't remember anyone else.
Yeah, we made up our minds that, okay, we're coming out to LA to shoot this thing. There's a good number of YouTubers out there. We're going to reach out to everybody we know. Corey was involved making his own videos.
That's how Corey was part of a Sanyo Zacti campaign,
waterproof
the first
camera.
one. Because
Yeah.
they came out with a second one, the second campaign, and we ended up, I made videos for it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And that's that money started Seeded Maker. That's how we started our company.
Because it wasn't long after that it was the second
No,
round.
no. So
we
the
got
Zacti
everybody.
days, as I like to call them.
And I'll tell you from our perspective, so we're just asking everyone we know, and we told Corey to ask everyone he knew. So I think that's probably how you showed up. I'll just be honest to say,
You didn't know.
We didn't know you were coming.
I didn't expect anyone to know who I was. I was like just happy to be there, because it felt like I was like, oh, this is happening, man.
So
we're
we're like
in a Rhett Link video.
We're around the pool. We're like giving the speech to everybody, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, here's Kassem. What do you want him to do? And then it was our first meeting, and then you turn around and you pull your pants down and you have on a G-string.
Oh.
And
I forgot about that.
And then we proceed to put you in the most clothes of anyone in the entire video.
Yeah.
So I had this
You gave me a snow jacket.
snowboarding jacket
Yeah.
that I flew from North Carolina with because I thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna put it on.
And this was at
Kassem.
Tom Petty's house?
Yes,
His old house?
This is Tom Petty's old house. Yes.
God, the memories we had there.
So you got a good shot. You plopping in the pool with
I
like
got
the
a
most clothes
very
on.
good shot.
Very
No
buoyant.
G-string. You had on pants.
You know those days when you can like just count your subscribers coming in?
Yeah.
You know, after you collab, it's like you don't leave the computer for a while.
Yeah,
'cause you're
right.
like, hold on, honey, I got 300 more just came in. Yeah, I'll come to bed soon. It was like crack. You know, you just wanted to collab and collab and collab and collab and collab.
You hadn't done a California on at that point.
No. So like I got to know, so throughout all the YouTube meetups, right, I met Shay, I met Phil, I met Shane, I met you guys. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people. And me, Shay, and Phil got along pretty well. And we us three hung out. And it was more like Shay and Phil were buds, and I was still just kind of like a no one. I knew I was funny, but it was just like, all right, this. I'm still cutting my teeth, getting my lumps, and by that time, I had quit Best Buy, but I transferred to a Magnolia Audio Video store. So I was still selling TVs, but now it wasn't in fun Best Buy. It was in dreary Magnolia Audio Video, which is a standalone store owned by Best Buy. It was right on Wilshire in Santa Monica because I moved from Ventura County to Santa Monica so I could audition because I had a commercial agent. And I thought I was gonna be in a bunch of commercials and I needed to be close because I couldn't drive an hour and a half, 2 hours at a drop of a hat for an audition. It was too far. So I moved to Santa Monica, and the
station forms.
Yeah, I mean that happened kind of a little bit after almost exactly after that second Sanyo Zacti campaign, where we all had to do the same thing except just like. It was a new camera this time. I don't know what it was, right? You guys did it too, right?
We didn't do
the second one. Okay. So the second one was like one of the first times I actually got paid to do a video. The first time was when I did a collab with Lisa and Shay for a Crank 2 movie. That was our first collab. But the actual one where we got paid, I think we got paid $30K total for all of us. And we just said, okay, well, we'll put that money back into, let's start this studio where because some of us could write, some of us could shoot, some of us could edit, but no one really could do it all together. And then the idea of the studio was just to have a place where we could pool resources and share resources. And central location, because it was Lisa's and Danny's house at that moment. Yeah, we were all just working out of Danny's backyard.
Right.
And Lisa was editing and Danny was editing the videos. And it was a waste of time because they needed to be doing other things. So if we could bring in like an editor and like hire a guy to shoot and maybe rent a space where we could keep this stuff, it would give us a place to talk ideas. We'll put up a green screen in a room where we want to shoot. And it was very much just that in the beginning. And then I think I did California On. Was the first time. So the station,
you still had a day job at the time.
I still had a day job, and that was coming to a very quick end when I made one phone call. And Phil has a news show, and I thought, Phil has this news show. I can easily go to the beach, Venice Beach, do a man on the street, cut together like a quick segment, and then have him use it in the video, kind of like a throw to field report. Correspondent, right? So I texted Phil, which I was okay friends with at the time. I was like, hey, if you want, I can. It's no pressure. Like I've never been the guy to say, hey, put me in, or like, hey, when are you gonna put me in? That's not my style. But I did call him and I was like, hey, if you want, I can go shoot something today for your news show that you're putting up tomorrow. Just tell me if you have any ideas of stories that you're gonna talk about. And he was doing a story on Miss California, some like racy photos that got leaked. So I took my roommate Alex. I called in sick to work. I didn't go because by that time I hated every second I was in that place. I called in sick, said I'm gonna go do this, and I borrowed Corey's camera, the one that he shot me and Kitty on. I took that camera, gave it to my roommate who doesn't know how to use cameras. Realized we didn't have a microphone. We stopped by a Radio Shack on our way down to the beach, bought a corded Radio Shack microphone with too short of a cord, so we can never get a wide enough shot. And then when we got down to the beach, it was super sunny, and my roommate Alex doesn't know how to expose a camera. So the whole video is blown out.
Oh, yeah.
And so it
looks like an effect.
You can kind of see me, and you can kind of see me talking to people, and you can hear it fine, but I just didn't know how to I didn't know how to do that stuff, and I didn't know how to edit. I knew very little, but I knew I could just take clips of this interview and smush them together and make something that's short.
Right, because it turns out none of that mattered. What mattered was...
Yeah, I was shocked.
You had balls to say the things you were saying to these people. You got good things out of people, but you were in character.
Yeah.
It seemed like... it wasn't fun. It's not like there was much of an evolution either. If you look at California On in success, even the most recent ones... It's not much different. I mean,
yeah, it's less malicious because I was quick to realize that I should. not make fun of the people on the boardwalk because I'm here every day and this is where I live and I would rather be a part of the fabric than tearing it up. So I kind of switched my attention after like the second one because there was an incident with a homeless guy that I made fun of and I felt really bad about. And his family didn't know he was homeless and they saw the video and then they found out he was homeless.
And how did you find that out?
He came up to me the next time I was on the beach. He's like, "Hey, what's the deal? My family knows I'm homeless. You're ruining my life." And I felt really bad. And then I for some reason just gave him $10 out of my pocket. And he said thanks and walked away.
It's like, okay.
And so I was like,
better than I was expecting.
He took my $10. So I guess we're even. But I really had to think about what I was doing out there instead of trying to get the easy laugh. There's another way to do it where you can still get the laugh and not be so mean. So I think there is a slight, it's not a dramatic, but now the Californians versus when I first started, I tend to only make fun of tourists and people that are just passing and going, young kids, stuff like that are happy with it, but stayed away from making the locals in Venice look a certain way because that's not what I was there to do, and I love Venice. I think Venice is one of my favorite places in the world, and I feel like more people came to visit Venice once they saw those videos because there's that wall that I always shoot in front of. It's kind of a pompous thing to say, but people would always want to come down and see where my filming spot was, and I figured I had some sort of responsibility to not be a dick or an ass.
Because everybody, you quickly discovered, it is a community. And,
it is a community.
And if you keep stepping in there, they're gonna they're recognized.
And they were nice, and they let me slide on a couple early screw ups. But then this sort of whole prankster thing happened, and people started coming to shoot videos in Venice that were not in good. They weren't in good spirits, and they were a little malicious. And I felt like I had to kind of maybe take a step back because I wasn't liking where all that was going. People on the boardwalk would associate me with pranksters. And
so when you saw the Sam Pepper video, like the pinnacle of this, the controversy, what was your? I was like, how did you react?
Well, you could say what you want about the content. I just felt like it was not the type of stuff that I would be into or like to watch, and I feel like I don't know who would be into watching this sort of thing. And it felt like it was giving the area a bad name because it wasn't just Sam Pepper. There's other people that just came and went, and I don't own the boardwalk, but if I see something I don't like, I would rather just be like, F it, I'll just step back, and let these guys run themselves into the ground. I didn't want to contribute to any of that in any way.
So I think that would come as a surprise to, unless you've shared this with other people, that one of the reasons that you lowered the frequency of those videos had to do with
that's a small reason.
That the way that it was kind of infiltrated by these other guys who were
out
there.
The timing was a thing, and then I was up in my own head about how to change the show because it's fine, and I'm glad people appreciate it. And when every day I read a tweet that's like, "Did you die? Where's the thing? How come you don't make videos? You're such a deadbeat." I know that's just people saying "We miss your videos. Just make more," and that's fine. I get that comes from a good place, but I didn't feel like that show was in a spot to just keep going. And I still will make them, but I want to make them different. And I guess the whole reason I'm here is to pimp out this Bigfoot special, but this ties in nicely because the Bigfoot special, it's 30 minutes long, and it's kind of like a Callion, but it turns into something completely different, and we're real happy with it. I feel like there's some heart in it, and it's
finished, and it's going to be released.
We just came from a final round of notes just now, and it's supposed to be ready for to send out tomorrow, and it should be on YouTube hopefully a week from tomorrow.
On your channel?
On my channel.
And it's 30 minutes.
30 minutes with an extra bonus video. But I felt like, look, I know I've been gone for a long time and you guys have no idea, and I don't update you about what I do. But here's I've been doing a lot of stuff, and here's one of them. Here's a fun little 30-minute video. It's the least I could do for the viewers.
But
and it was a lot of fun.
So, what's new about it? You're not just interviewing people on Venice about Bigfoot for 30 minutes, are you?
It's like No. It's not in Venice at all. It's my own Bigfoot special where I go on the road to go hunt for Bigfoot.
It has nothing to do with California On.
It's in California, and it starts with some man on the street stuff that's California On style.
Got it.
But the rest is more of a travel documentary. Me and my road crew.
And you've been working on this for quite some time,
right? Yeah. I mean, we filmed it in August, but I decided that I would race in the Baja 1000. Cast in another thing I had to shoot. And then I decided I would do all the artwork for this video on my own, which was a bad idea because I don't know how to do art, and it takes a long time.
What do you mean do artwork?
I decided I would have some artwork in there, some dramatizations, some illustrated reenactments.
Animation.
Well, it's watercolored that I had somebody cheaply animate stuff onto.
Okay.
And it's
so the watercolors in this. It's called California on Bigfoot.
It's called California on Sasquatch and Not Finding Bigfoot Special.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a spoiler
a tale
in the
of the virtue of ignorance.
But all the watercolors, that is your work.
It's all my work.
Okay.
And I think it matches my sort of lo-fi. I mean, the art's not very good. And this video, I think we had a lot of fun making it, but it's not like a fancy slick video. It's I think it's a good next step for Calion, is doing these things. And we want to do a ghost one, and I want to do aliens. And these are things I'm kind of into in like regular life, which is a lot easier than thinking about your own feelings and problems.
Okay.
Which I want to find out about. I want to find out about that because, when I hear Kassem G is interested in the Sasquatch, what I think is, okay, he's going to have his day with these people who are into Sasquatch.
He's screwing with everybody.
I don't screw with these people at all. It's something that if somebody's going to come out and talk to me about something that's very real to them, about something, and when they tell you these things, they're most of the time that you can tell it's very authentic, and it's not something that they probably talk to. And a lot of people said, look, I've never told anyone this because I think people will think I'm crazy. But yeah, I've seen one. Like I saw one. It was I didn't know what to think of it. It was just weird. And my job is to not make fun of that. My job is to, at least for this video, to encourage more information because I'm genuinely interested.
So where's the comedy?
Well, the comedy comes from the absurdity of the situation that we're in. There's moments in there. It's not like California On where we try to rapid fire jokes. There's an arc and there's like a whole thing. I'm interested to see what you guys think about it when you see it. So if you got 30 minutes to spare,
there is a legitimate search.
We go with thermal cameras.
How did you become
vision.
interested in this?
I've always loved. I mean, there's a Leonard Nimoy, rest in peace, documentary that I watched when I was a kid about finding, searching for Bigfoot, and then every Bigfoot special that's ever been out since I've watched and digested, and I listen to Bigfoot podcasts, and sometimes I stay up in the middle of the night and read encounters on the BFRO website.
And you decorate your home with Bigfoot. I mean, I've seen the Instagram.
Right, I definitely went deep on some Bigfoot merch. I have a picture of Patty, a cell of the Patterson footage that's blown up, and it's like framed on my wall. It's real fun. I have a Bigfoot doormat.
Well, they say no more.
And it's mostly fun, but I do. I do hope that we sold the episode to Samsung, which is great because I wasted a lot of money. I wasted a ton of money and resources on this thing. So what was nice is that we did it and somebody saw some potential and paid for it to, and hopefully we can continue to do more of these.
So what's their integration? Like you're like
they get
using
it for
the
a
light,
week.
Using the light from a Samsung phone to find Sasquatch?
No, there's no product placement at all. They just get the video for a week on their Android app before I release it on YouTube.
Okay.
Which I thought was a killer deal. It's they're going to help pay for the actually almost all the production that I spent just to have it a week early. And if you have an Android device, you'll be able to download it and watch it. And then if you don't want to, you can just wait till it's out for free on YouTube a week later. So it's really not a bad deal at all, and I hope to be able to do more of them.
I am very intrigued, and I'm certainly committed to watching it.
I think
if you want our thoughts, I'll be glad to give them.
I would love to hear what you guys
think,
think, because I would love to get people's thoughts that I respect and watch, because it's different than anything. I mean, it starts off feeling kind of familiar, like maybe a Cali on Comic Con where it's man on the street in a different area. And then it has a little bit of like a reality show vibe to it, but then it's not, and it's kind of like a travel doc, and there's a little bit of suspense. And we don't find Bigfoot. We're very clear. It's in the title. But it's more about just us being out there, and we were pretty scared. But yeah, I want my team. They're all my best friends, and they also happen to be the guys that help me make videos. You know, it's my brother, it's John, you know, and Lane and Ricky, who's in the other room. I mean, these are guys I hang out with on the weekends. So if I can get into a situation where my production team and my buds were getting paid to go shoot stuff that I'm really into, that would be cool. And make content that's like, you know, you could sit down for a while and watch it and not just digest it so quick.
So this represents an evolution of California On, but to take a step back, I've always been curious about whether it's California On or Going Deep or talking to cosplay women at conventions. Is there an element of having to psych yourself up? And how much of a character do you assume in your own mind? Tell me about the place you've got to go to in order to interact with people and create these comedic moments.
It's not that hard. It's honestly, we were talking about this. I forget with who, but I've had a lot of experience talking to people. Now, I did 10 years at Best Buy selling TVs for 10 years, right? So that's like you're cold starting conversation with people for 10 years every day. And then I did Man on the Street, and you're cold starting conversations with people for the last 7 years or whatever it is. I don't have a problem with getting into a convo, and I don't think I have to psych myself up. I just get so tired, like if it's a Comic-Con especially, and I have to try and like think of a soundbite or like a witty thing to say while there's like, you know, a giant transformer walking around, there's like dubstep blaring in your left ear, and there's like a chick with an amazing body who's half naked over here. There's so much stimulus that if I walk around Comic-Con for 4 hours, I need to sleep for like 2 days. Yeah. It takes a lot out of me, and it's like, you're just making internet videos, dude, like shut up. But it's not more of like I got to get myself in the moment. If I can just get there, and then that's half the battle. Like getting there and just turning on the camera, and then once I get a few in the bank, it's fine. And then, you know, when you get warmed up, everything comes out better, and then when you get in that zone, there's like a good 3 or 4 hour period where I'm in a zone, and then I get maybe 70% of the footage, and then if I don't get anything, I'll piece it together.
How wrong have things gone? I mean, have you
For
ever
what?
been slugged?
Yeah, I got slapped. I mean, everyone always asks me. I got slapped by some guy at South by Southwest. I think he was a gangbanger, so I'm glad it didn't escalate any farther. But I honestly, I should have been attacked more than...
What did you say to that guy?
I don't think I forget. It's in the video. It's in the South by...
So it's part of the video.
Yeah, but I just started shouting at him, and then he slapped me, and then I ran after him with the camera on, and then I tried to make fun of him, but... there was a lot of like, there's my own problems coming out. I don't like when that happens, but nothing life-threatening, you know. I just feel a little exposed at Venice Beach sometimes, just because I have been doing it for a while, and if for some reason I really hated Kassem G, I could just probably hang out at the beach for a while, wait for him to get there, and they just stab him in the temple, you know. It's like
You've legitimately thought this.
I have. I went through a good year or two where I had very bad anxiety, where I had panic attacks and things, because it was like maybe a year into people like saying hi to me on the street that would recognize me from videos, which is great, and I love that, but I had a real issue with it, just like being noticed. I was very uncomfortable with it. It came from a weird place. I don't know why. I didn't like the thought of somebody possibly knowing who I was in a restaurant, but me not knowing any of these people. And then it would be validated by me getting a tweet from like somebody tweeting the back of my head at a restaurant or something. Yeah. I'm sure it's happened to you guys, but at that time, I don't know, a few years ago, but I had a pretty big anxiety disorder thing that happened with it, but it's fine now. You know, I don't have panic attacks anymore. I did worry about getting murdered on the beach. There was a group of skaters, I think, that really wanted to beat me up for a while, but you know,
Which you,
I don't
how
wanna
did you
ha-
find out about that?
just like somebody's like, there's a group of skaters over there really want to fight you. I don't know. I don't know. There's so much that can happen at that beach. Like I've seen people get in fist fights that had nothing to do with it. It can erupt at any moment.
Yeah.
That place is so volatile that you know you don't have security. It can be a scary place. But the tattoo guys that work right next door, everyone, all the vendors were really nice and they looked out for me, which is part of why I was happy that I tried to, you know, show Venice in a better light as opposed to make fun of it. But
I think a lot of people, you know, on the outside looking in might think, oh, well, it seems like the timing really works out. You know, Maker gets bought by Disney. I know Kassem was there from the beginning, so okay, he just cashed in a little bit. He doesn't have to make videos anymore.
yeah, I cashed in. But I think what would ever happen with my videos, just like would have happened regardless whether or not the Disney thing happened. It had a lot to do with just me being unhappy with the formats and where they were at and wanting to do something new. But yeah, I mean, getting millions of dollars is also gives you a little bit of a buffer to not have to worry about like, I was in that spot as a YouTuber where it's like, oh, Friday, I got no video. It's like, what am I going to do? I got to mail it in. I never want to be in that position again because it's cheap for the audience if you're mailing it in. It's cheap for yourself. And all it is just to kind of feed this like never-ending monster that is always hungry. And I don't want to be caught up in that. I feel happier.
Well,
now.
how does losing that sense of desperation that I think a lot of YouTubers feel when you experience, you know, when you cash in, how does that change the way you approach your work?
You take your time with it. But it's hard to, you know, I have to do something. And that's the Bigfoot thing was the impetus behind that was so we got to do something new and bigger. It'll take longer. I won't be putting videos up, but at least I'll be taking a step in a direction that I want to go.
But it is a risk. You've put a lot into it.
I mean,
Is there anxiety associated with this
I'm doing
project?
it the wrong way. You know, like if you want to be successful, on YouTube, it's consistency, and I'm not as worried about it as when I was playing that YouTube hustle years ago. I've carved out a nice little like audience for myself that, you know, I'm happy with. If the subscribers keep coming, great. But like, there's no way I'm gonna play that game. I couldn't even imagine being somebody like PewDiePie or like guys that are uploading 3 videos a day. I've seen it take its toll on myself, and I've seen it take tolls on other YouTubers, and it's no way to live just to feed a machine that way. And it also, like, I got to do other things, you know, that if I didn't take the time away from YouTube, I would have never got to do. So I'm happier. I get to do different things, but ultimately, like, my love is just YouTube. Like, I really want to. I'm not going away. I'm just gonna change what I do, and maybe it'll be less, or maybe I'll find another format and it'll hit.
So, are you doing Going Deep anymore, or is that done?
That hasn't been decided. It's another one of those things where I'm pretty unhappy with where I'm at, or what I think is funny. And I don't necessarily think that shows as funny now as when I used to do it early on.
I mean, how do you give me, in looking back at it, how do you feel about it?
I'm happy. I'm happy with all. I mean, there's ones that I feel like, you know, I probably crossed some sort of line, and you know, there's probably a lot of moments like that. And I feel like I made those at the maturity level I was at when that happened. But if I was to do it now, it would definitely have a different feel. More like a Callion is changing. I would change Going Deep to be less Going Deepish. I don't know. And I know a lot of people get bummed out about that because they like the show.
In what way? What do you Going Deepish? What do you mean?
It's just like, I don't know. It's like a guy talking to a porn star for laughs. You know, it's fine. I think it wasn't like. There's real funny moments. And one of my favorite videos is the Asa Akira one because of I don't talk to them at all before, and I just let it go. And then sometimes really fun stuff happens, like the Asa Akira one. And then other times I can't air the episode because they have their manager call and say that, you know, that's not going to air.
So you were certainly in character, but there's no prep whenever you're talking to a porn star.
No, there's prep. It's half written, half improvised. I shoot for like an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45.
But they don't meet you until they sit down.
No. I actually will do, like, I used to do things like yell at my crew before I stepped in. I wanted to create a sort of environment of like where they thought I was a huge asshole.
Yeah.
And I would like yell at the person putting my mic on, like, why are you doing it this way? It's taking too long. And if they didn't have something ready for me, I'd blow up about it. And I wouldn't look at them or talk to them until the camera was rolling. And sometimes they would just be looking at me like wondering when I'm gonna like acknowledge them, which is great because some those moments are real to me, and they're not forced, and it's real awkwardness, which is great. I don't see, especially these prank videos, like half of them, 80% of them are staged. Like why are we watching these? There's no real reaction here. There's no human emotion being displayed. There's nothing risky about it. But when we sit down and do those interviews, like I don't know what's going to happen in there. And there's 2 or 3 interviews that I haven't aired because of the person not wanting them to air. And
had you met porn stars in person off camera before? What are porn stars like as people?
Maybe at conventions or something like that. As people, porn stars?
Like your experience interviewing all of them.
All the girls, most of the girls I chatted with, really nice, right? Very nice people, seemed really lovable and fun, and like, oh, they're cool when they don't do porn. But some of them are, I would have to say most of them are that way because of some sort of like trauma and like some crazy thing that happened in their lives. Like they're broken people for the most part, and not every one of them. People think that, I'll hang out with porn stars, it's got to be the coolest thing. Like, it's super depressing. There's a lot of drug use, there's alcoholism, there's like domestic violence. There's a whole slew of problems with the porn industry that I don't really agree with, and
is that part of it? Because it seems like, I would have assumed that after the initial success of Going Deep, that people would be contacting you so that you could break these girls on the show.
I have people contacting me still, but they're not people I want on the show.
Right.
I only have certain. I will say I will do another one if there is one thing I've been trying to find, which is a couple where they both do porn, but the male does gay for pay porn. And if somebody can step out, I will do that.
That's what it's going to take. Well, you heard it here.
Yeah,
on Ear Biscuits.
But otherwise, it's like it's repetitive. I didn't want to keep doing. And a lot of the porn stars that reach out to you are just they are just looking for some sort of just anything sort of attention. Whether like, oh, it's fine, they'll make fun of me, but I'll get a bunch more followers. And I like to think of that show as like I'm taste making. I'll pick the porn stars myself. Because in the comments, it's like, hey, I just looked her up after this video, and I'm a big fan now. I like to feel like I have some influence over who people jerk to.
Well, and I would assume that people, when you lose you lost your cover a little bit. You got these girls coming in, and now they know. Oh, I talked to her.
Yeah, the last, it's few. They're
and then they're acting at that point.
They have to, I make sure my producers tell them, look, it's an act, but he's not going to talk to you. He's not going to be nice to you. After, he'll be super nice, and I am. Like after the interviews are done, I'll go and try and be like, that was really funny. I know you probably think I'm an asshole. That's just that way for the camera. But I have no need to go back and do more unless I think it'll be really funny. I don't feel like I have to just feed a machine just to feed the machine.
Yeah.
Is that pompous? It's more just like I want to keep the quality at a certain level.
It's
like
sanity is one thing.
Yeah,
too.
and I think it's refreshing that I'm not playing a YouTube game, and collabing with people that you don't want to see and making videos that are social experiments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
And
I think you're happy with me too.
Yeah. Oh yes, very. And you're
As
also
you wave your hand.
You're acting
magically in front of our face.
Yeah, I try to do a little bit of that too.
Did you actually get directed by Michael Bay for that scene in Transformers?
I did. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was fine. It was a trip. It really was. Being on that set is I've been on a few sets. I've been on 2 film sets, but that film set was like a film set. It was like, okay, you're going to be looking up at the top of the ceiling. You're in a wind tunnel, right? It's like a GM wind tunnel. It's like a room that maybe 20 other people have ever been in their life. And you got to pretend you're looking at a transformer. And meanwhile, there's like 100 extras running around behind you, and Stanley Tucci's banging on the board. And you just have, I got my lines that morning, I just was told I was going to improvise them, but I didn't get to. He just told me what lines to say. And they came out weird, and they cut some stuff. It was fine. It was a good experience. But I got that because of Going Deep. They saw Going Deep, and they were like, maybe we can use that character somehow in the movie. And I ended up auditioning for like 4 different things, and they're like, well, you didn't get any of them, but they want you in it, and just, improvise some lines. So you'll go there for 5 days and see what happens. So I was like, okay. And I did that. And it was pretty stressful getting your lines 20 minutes before you shoot them, on something that'll be there forever.
Yeah.
And, Michael Bay's interesting. He likes funny guys, which is cool. He's cool. It's fun to see him work a set, especially if there's women on it. There's always beautiful women when Michael Bay's around, and he's kind of like I don't want to say he's a nice guy. He loves funny guys.
So how much do you want to do acting versus? You said you're loyal to YouTube and you're not going away.
Well, I'm not, but it doesn't mean I can't do other stuff. And I auditioned for a couple pilots. I shot a pilot last year. I'm shooting one now, but until they're out, I'll talk about them. But I like to work that muscle because it's not like YouTube. It's like somebody else gets to do all the work, and I can just kind of focus on this one thing, which is nice. And it's also a great way to get paid. Like 5 days of work getting paid on a motion picture is great. It's like money just keeps coming every time. As it comes out on DVD, there's more money. It came out in the theater, there's
pretty
more
nice.
Money. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, back at the top, you talked about how one of the factors in not wanting to play, quote, the YouTube game was just to preserve some level of privacy. And I know with
the vlogging,
yeah, with the vlogging, but I think with the content that you've created over the years, people have a perception of you that you don't let a lot of people in. I appreciate over the course of this conversation you've been very candid, but you don't choose in a lot of places to be to put yourself out there that way.
I'm like that, and that's just how I am. I don't I keep people around me that I trust and that I like, and I don't feel like I have to change that for any reason. Mm-hmm. It's not because I'm guarded. It's just, I've old enough to where I like certain things and can draw boundaries with other things. I have a lot of friends, but yeah, I guess I'm a weirdo. I guess I'm a guarded weirdo.
Yeah, I don't think being guarded makes anybody a weirdo.
I just said I have a lot of friends on a podcast, which always means I don't, right? So it's like
I really trust me.
Yeah. The truth is, I don't like if I don't have to leave my house, I won't. I got my dog, and lately I've been painting. It's been very serene around my house, so it's nice. Yeah.
So when are you going to start the online gallery where people can go and buy Kassem G paintings?
I know a lot of guys were like, "Hey, you should give these paintings away," and I'm like, "Nah, it's just like." They're not that good. I don't want to give them away. Maybe I do find the appeal of like those time lapse painting videos. You ever watch those?
Yeah,
they're so easy to watch. It's like, oh God, I could make one of these. I'm painting right now. Why can't I just make one of these? But leave people like Mary Doodles to do it. She's great at it.
Well, it's time for you to sign the table as we wrap up this thing. And again, I
think we gotta come back and do a part 2. Right? One of these days?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd have it. What are you holding for part 2?
Well, I don't know. We just talked about so much. I'm sweating bullets here.
And there you have it, our conversation with Kassem G.
Let Kassem know how much you enjoyed this ear biscuit. His Twitter is Kassem G, KASSEMG. Use hashtag earbiscuits. Also remember you can leave a review on iTunes. It's very helpful. And you can join the conversation on SoundCloud. That's happening over there.
I I really appreciated Kassem. You know, we're friends with him. And, you know, like he said, he's a guarded guy, but, you know, he came on the podcast and we gained a lot of insight into who he was. I think some of you may be pleasantly surprised that, you know, he's an actual person.
He
he's
has
not
a heart, guys.
He's not just a guy who
has a heart.
Who has confrontational humor on the sidewalks of Venice. He's tapping into something there.
And I can see, I'll tell you right now, the whole idea of there being a you know, some kind of sitcom or whatever that focuses on his experiences as a kid, like the story about standing out there next to the potted plant or whatever that was.
Right.
Like I totally can see that working. That needs to be in front of people right now.
He should just do it on his channel.
Well, he might.
Forget about television.
You don't know how he's going to do it.
I want to plug his California on half-hour special on Sasquatch again.
You should.
Because like I said at the top, when we talked to Kassem, we hadn't seen it, and since then we have. It's a lot of fun. You know, California on Sasquatch, a Not Finding Bigfoot special. I watched that on his channel.
So he kind of gives it away at the beginning, as it was intended. He doesn't find Bigfoot, but it's very entertaining.
But they have fun.
Have a lot of fun.
I found it very interesting that he approached it with a different tone, like he described to us, than he does with some of the California ons, because he let all these people who believe in Bigfoot speak. Bigfoot. I can't speak right now, but you know, he just let them speak, and it was fun. He wasn't trying.
He wasn't trying to make fun of them. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to ask them questions and make them look stupid. It was very much, I'm gonna go hang out with these guys and we're gonna have fun. We realize that what we're doing is, you know, even people who are with us, like John, for instance, totally thinks that this is the most ridiculous thing ever. But that's part of the humor, is that he's got this ragtag bunch of guys who are going out there, including Hi, I'm Ron, being by himself all night, which I think was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that's true. So check that out, and again, let Kassem know. Tweet at him what you thought of his ear biscuit. We'll be here next week, delivering another one to your ear holes.
Fresh.